Good evening.
Hello and good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
And how are you all this evening?
Hmm.
I am fine.
The spirit is fine. The body took a little back banging around.
Well, yes, that happens sometimes. It certainly happens sometimes. And how was your week?
Hmm. Week was hectic, but hectic nice. It was going towards something. So it wasn't like wasted energy. It was going towards something. And the burn was really, really successful on Saturday. So the week was nice.
Okay, okay. Anyone else? How was your week this week?
My week was trying to deal with health issues that are still fighting it.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Noted.
I ain't giving up. I'll go in with it. I'll go in with it.
Okay. Very important. Very important. And Lisa, how was your week?
My week was good. I think for this year, because um, over the weekend was my birthday, and
Happy
I
birthday,
think
Lisa.
thank you very much. And I think this year I really put effort into um taking care of me. So I did a massage. I got my toes done. I got a
Wow.
facial. So I really for this year, I really want to start to invest in me and self care, self love, you know.
Yes.
So, and I think with that comes the part of feeling like you're living in lack, because it was like, oh my God, go and do a massage and it's a cost, da 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 da. Da. So I'm really trying to work on that too, because I can say for myself, when it comes to spending money on my kids or doing anything for my kids, it's not a problem. But when it comes to investing in myself is always a reason why you shouldn't or you don't need to. So I'm really trying to come out of that lack mentality as well. So it was nice.
Okay. Understood. Very good. And I know usually we stand out the genius goals question, and I would also like to encourage more of you to answer. And because of it, I want to ask one of the questions. I want to ask because the week that has gone, we had 5 questions. So I want to ask one of the questions so you all could give me your responses. So the question is, what would change if you shifted from doing more to doing what matters most?
I think you would enjoy life more. You know what I mean? Because if you shift from doing what is it, doing what matters, you said, right?
Yeah, instead of doing more, you're shifting to doing what
Because then,
matters most.
right, so then that's like for me saying, within myself, self care.
Hmm.
That's doing what matters most because I would like to take care of me and invest in me. And, like they said, the soul is here for the experience. So that's an experience. Like just experience it and don't try to just do things. Like, I have a lots of stuff going on with my job. So if I sit and I start thinking about that, or if I sit and start thinking about lack, then how am I enjoying anything? And the days going by, months going by, year going by, and then you would just forever be stuck in that space. But once you kind of push yourself to have the experience, then it makes you feel different. You start wanting more of that because of how you feel doing it.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
doing what matters, I think, is okay, but doing what your soul requires or what you know you want to experience, is most important.
Okay, understood. Anyone else? Let me reread the question. What would change if you shifted from doing more to doing what matters most?
The thing
I
about it
think,
is you could be doing more of nothing. You're just doing, and you're just doing what? You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So when you do what matters, it makes a difference instead of just randomly being hectic and you're just running, oh my, let me do this, let me do this, let me help this one, let me do this, let me do this. And at the end of the day, it amounts to what?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Versus taking the time, slowing down, and doing things that is really what matters to you, what matters to your soul, what helps you to have this physical experience that we're here for.
Yeah, most definitely.
I I feel is better use of the resources they have. Remember, resources are limited. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, our economic system, your
Mm-hmm.
resources are limited, and when you do what matters most, than just doing everything and anything. And what matters most, the more important things, prioritize the things that you have to do and do the ones that are more important. That could change over time, but there's nothing. You go with each flow and go with the change.
Yeah.
But do what is more important to you. To me, there's more efficient way of living, a more efficient way of living.
Yes.
And don't be doing everything because you see people doing it and no, 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 no. What as Lisa saying, you're guided by your soul and you're doing what you have to do.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Catherine, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
yes, I was going to say that I think you will feel more fulfilled because you will have a more streamlined approach to what, first of all, it will force you to think carefully about what matters most. And once you get to identifying that, then because you would have selected it as something that, because for everything, for everyone, what matters most would be different. And once you are able to just focus in on really what matters most,
You.
and in this, sometimes it'll be in the moment for the situation, or just simply if you wanted to narrow it down to say what matters most for you. But since you do not exist in a vacuum and you exist with other people around you, then it's really you first, and then how it will break down and benefit others. But
Mm-hmm.
instead of just doing a lot of things, which sometimes you may be doing it in a very scattered manner, you may be doing it in a very haphazard manner.
It's
The thing comes into your awareness, you're going to do that, and you're going to do that. And before long, you're exhausted, really. And sometimes you cannot see what was the result of
more,
anything at
yeah,
all.
that's
So, to me, what would
more.
change would be your ability to be focused, and there will be more satisfaction, personal satisfaction out of that, because you can give, you're really giving your best, you'll be giving your all, and therefore the result, whatever it is more likely to be something that is satisfying to you, as opposed to just spreading your energy. Like I think Paula said or Lisa said, um, just trying to please everybody, doing things that you think will please everybody, and leaving yourself empty, leaving yourself unfulfilled.
Yeah.
Is it Paula or Patricia? I'm only seeing the
Patricia.
P.
Patricia.
Patricia.
Yes.
Sorry for giving you a new name.
No,
And also too, um, with reference to the question, I would just like to read something for you from the app. So we had a post yesterday that said, energy is not a finite resource inside you that flows based on how or when you feel. It's a relationship that you share with nature that builds your vitality, focus, and presence. So remember, it's a relationship that you share with nature that builds your vitality, focus, and presence. You are always in constant exchange with the universe. So now we're moving across to the app. And let me just read part of the write up for you, which is the last paragraph, which says, just 1 minute. So the last paragraph, which says, the future is not a gadget to be shaped. It is a world to be built with care, with intention, and with the sober understanding that the most important things are often the oldest: community stability and a habitable planet. It's time to break our addiction to disruptive novelty and start building something that will last. The challenge is no longer how to invent. The challenge is what and who we choose to build for as we target our energy. Our answer will define our century. So, if you would like to read up more on that post, feel free to do so. But just remember, when you are thinking about what would change if you shifted from doing more to doing what matters most, remember your energy, remember also where your connection within everything lies, so that you can move forward with clarity and with clear intention. And as we look at tonight's topic, which is sorry, which is habits build your identity. Do you think that this is a true statement?
Yes, yes, because the things that you do repeatedly and the habits that you build are what show up in how you interact with other people. And so by creating or cultivating certain habits, people you become known as a certain type of individual. You become known for certain things. You become recognized for certain things. People, as they would say, look out for you there,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to other persons. For example, persons who have a very casual relationship with time. I want to put it like that. They become known as persons who are always late. Now, there may be reasons, and sometimes it may not be entirely within their sphere of control, but because they have settled themselves into that space as a basis for operating, to me, things happen around them which add to that habit. And then you find that, and those things could affect you. On the other side, if you develop habits that are very productive, people see you as a somebody who's productive. And the ones who want productive people, they
Mm-hmm.
gravitate towards that. The
Mm-hmm.
ones who, so people tend to gravitate to where they see themselves in any case.
Yeah.
But to me, the habits define or they contribute
Mm-hmm.
to the identity that you project.
And before now, did you think of it as that in terms of, the habits that I have formed are really the foundation upon which everything else is built? Or you didn't really put much thought into it?
Well, you wouldn't really remember to look at it like that,
Mm-hmm.
but there's another way that it is put that in that habits thoughts build something, and something build habits, and habits build. So it's it's there.
Mm-hmm.
But to say you consciously sit down and think about it, sometimes not. Sometimes you just go with whatever's around you and you're just you're operating on automatic, but without stopping to reflect that, listen, this is something that if you continue doing it, it it will show up in the way you live, in the way you project yourself, and in what you are known for, the way people see you and the way you see yourself.
Mm-hmm. 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 Anyone else? When you hear this statement, habits build your identity, do you believe it to be true?
Gosh. Yes, I believe that to be true because it becomes a norm. It becomes what you're comfortable with. It becomes what you would always fall back on to do because you become unconsciously unaware of the things that you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I was having a conversation with my kids. Simple. I have a sink. I have two sinks. I have a little rack inside the sink where you put the sponge after you wash the dishes. Every day he would wash the dishes and the sponge in the opposite side of the sink. Never where you have the little rack to put the sponge. And I say to him, Amir, you need to put the sponge where it's supposed to. I don't understand why you're making such a big deal. Why you make, but that's going to then become a habit. And it has become a habit. You know, so you're not even consciously aware that you're doing these things. And like Catherine said, remember, you know, they say first impression is the lasting impression. You know what I mean? So how you carry yourself, how you people see you, and not just the physical you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you're accustomed looking untidy, well then you know you're going somewhere and people, okay, you're untidy. So is that, you know, and you could talk about it from a spiritual standpoint as well. You go into a room, my blood intake, this one, you know what I mean, and you could feel the energy. You know, you tend to gravitate to people who have like similar energy to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yes, it becomes a habit, and you could do things, or if you repeat things, it becomes a habit to the point that you're not even consciously aware of what you're doing.
Okay.
I was just kind of wondering about if we're differentiating between good habits and bad habits.
A
Because
habit is a habit.
Yeah, a habit is a habit.
Some are more productive than others,
Yes.
but they're
Yes.
just habits. Some will lead you to more the results that you want for yourself, while
mm-hmm.
some can walk you away from really where you want to go. But it to me it comes down to who is making the judgment as to the good habit or the bad habit.
Mm-hmm.
Whether to me is it the best for you? Is it the
Okay.
best in the situation and circumstance?
At
And
the time,
then it
yeah.
comes down to the person to say, well, this is not working for me. This is not serving me in my best interest.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I think a habit just is a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the person or the situation that will say whether this was productive or whether
Working or
this is
not.
something you should walk away from.
Yes. Yes. Because when you really look at it, remember, well, for those who log on during the week, there is no good or bad. So, a habit is a habit because they both contribute to who you are directly or indirectly. So sometimes you're building upon things and you are totally unaware. But when you look at your results will always let you know where you stand. What results are you getting? to know if the habit is something that is efficient, that is working for you, that is best, or if it is something that is ineffective, inefficient, or sometimes you're just doing it because you're comfortable. And I know Nicola, especially from the psychological perspective, always speaks about persons not wanting to go through the uncomfortable feeling in order to create something that is better or a better habit. So a lot of times, you just stay there, and in staying there in that habit again, you're repeating the same things, you're getting the same unwanted results, but yet you're not changing it. You're not making a different choice. Every time life presents the opportunity for you to make a different choice, you make the same choice. And in doing so, you are going to get the same results. So if you want to really look and indicate at whether or not this habit is working or if it is not working, you need to look at the results of the habit altogether. So that is how you would be able to identify whether or not is this working for me or is this working against me? Why am I choosing to stay here even though it is working against me? You know? And why do we choose to stay in habits even though they are working against us? Why do you think that is? Or did you never really look at it like that?
I think there's fear a lot of times, fear of change. And I think sometimes the habit is so
In
embedded in us that we don't even realize that we're doing the same thing. We don't even realize that it is a habit for us. We just think, oh, that's me, that's my normal self. Or like you say, if you get to the point where you're consciously aware of yourself and you realize that the things that you're doing over and over is not really helping you to grow, especially if you're on a journey where you want to grow, then that's a sign that, you know, you have formed a habit.
yes, 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 yes. Anyone else? Why do you think that we stay into habits that are not producing the best results for so long? Do you want what is best for yourself, or do you think that it requires too much effort?
To me, it's comfort. You're not 100% happy with what it is, and if you have a really well developed sense of lack of awareness
Mhm,
of self, then you even the business of doing self reflection, being able to go inward and look, that is a habit as well. That is something you have to cultivate. And if you're not even there to, there are some people who, and I know a few people like that, they cannot be quiet. Quietness, um, like it frightens them. So they require a lot of noise. Things must be going on. Things must be happening. Either background noise. There's very little me time. So even in those situations, and you may not be aware that there's something that you could look at it and say, okay, I can put my finger here and then say, okay, this is something I can change if I want to get another result. Sometimes it's just seen as this is how life is for me. And I can't do anything about it because, particularly if my mother, my grandmother, my great grandmother, my father, and all the ancestors were experiencing the same thing, that is how we grow, that is what we know.
mhm.
And to call it a habit, to recognize it as something that can be changed, may not come easily. And so you want something different. You want, because many times we tend to look at habits as, okay, you eat too much, you drink too much, you talk too much. But the other things are habits as well. And if to me, if you're not in space where you could sit down and say, let me look at me, let me look at where I want to be and where I am now. What does it require to be where I want to be? As opposed to just going with the sad story that this is my life and I cannot change it, then you have a better chance of being able to identify habits that you have, which then you could break. But if you don't have that sense of being able to make that little pause and look for that,
Mm-hmm.
you sometimes will not move out of it. You
Mm-hmm.
will not move out of it at all. You will just see it as your portion in life.
Yes. Okay. Anastasia, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes, good night.
Hello.
Sometimes you know you're in a space that you're not supposed to be in. But the whole problem with moving out of that space is that you don't know what it is you want. So sometimes you just stay there. Because if you know what it is you want, you will take the steps to get to what you want or where you want to go. But sometimes you really don't know, you know. But you know the space you're in is not good for you, it is uncomfortable and all of that, but you just don't know what it is you want, you know?
Yeah.
And when you know what it is you want, that makes you very powerful,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what it is you want, you know, and you just reach to the stage right here what? Sometimes you take one step and you don't know how to make the next step. You know, and you don't even self know, well, okay, when I come out of this place that I accustomed being in, what is going to happen to me? And you don't even know if you are what it is. What it is you want will happen to you, or it will work for you, or it will come around for you. But you have to know that you are what it is. Where you are is uncomfortable, and it makes no sense living a whole life of discomfort.
Yeah.
It's better you take the risk and you step out and you don't know where you're going and you know you want something but you don't even know if to go left or if to go right. You
Yes.
know, you don't know if you make the right step, how it will turn out or whatever it is, but it is better you do that than you settle in this uncomfortable place for years of your life going, and you just in this uncomfortable space, you know, and you're not doing nothing. It's like it's a slow death. You're slowly killing yourself. So it's
Yes.
better you just make the move.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nicole, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes, I was going to add to what everybody else was saying and say as well it's a discipline thing and disciplining your mind. Because like for me, this week I decided I'm taking a fast from my phone. Right? I have a addiction. I believe I have addiction to my phone. And I realized that when I sit to do something, I would quicker grab up the phone. And whole day in my mind, I had to battle. Like, you know, your mind was literally telling you, don't study that girl, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. And you had to literally tell yourself, no, 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 you're not running the party here. You know, because within your higher self, you know that you want to become more disciplined. You know that you have certain things that you would like to achieve and experience. So I feel like also it's a mental battle. And you really have to discipline yourself and allow your mind to know that you're powerful, but you're not that powerful, right? You have to follow the instructions of the higher self. So I feel like that is one as well that tends to keep you away if you don't have that sense of discipline to quiet your mind or still your mind
Yeah.
and give in to the thoughts or the wants of your mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because when you look out at life, and I know this is something that we don't pay attention to. Remember, you're functioning from either your mind or you're functioning from within, and you're functioning from your soul that is connected to everything else. And sometimes, a lot of the time, the thoughts come in, and your soul knows the reason why, but because of habit, again, we tend to stay in whatever the familiar pattern is. And a lot of times, guys, the familiar pattern not producing any results that you really enjoying, that's making you become the better or best version of yourself. when you really look at the results of some of the habits that you are currently, engaging with day after day, and think about the results of it. What are the results of the habits really? When you really look at it from that perspective, and when you look at the results, you could ask yourself, is this result worth this habit? If you choose to switch whatever it is and you say, your soul lead you to whatever else that you could identify, with something else that you could practice, that you could get results that you actually want to get. Imagine how many things that you would be able to achieve and enjoy if you just made that simple shift from one, because a lot of times, yes, it is difficult to replace, because even, Nicole always talking about again the uncomfortable feeling which she is currently experiencing. But remember, within it, so you're taking a break from your phone, so within it, what are you going to replace that time with? You could replace it with, you could read a book, you could replace it with exercise, you could replace it with going outside, doing some grounding. You could replace it with, I always wanted to learn how to beat pan, I always wanted to learn how to sing, I always wanted to learn how to sew. It's just about how do you shift this from an experience where it not yielding the best results, to shifting it to, let me now make it an experience that I actually want to enjoy, something that you always wanted to do all the time. And even as Anastasia was explaining, yes, you may not know all the steps, but what is important is that you make the first step, because in making the first step, that is where the other steps are revealed. Because you will not get the entire pathway. If you think that you're going to get the entire pathway, like me, which I initially thought, you're going to get the entire pathway and the road is going to be smooth. There would be no razor grass. The grass will be well manicured lawn grass. You are in for a very, very rude awakening, because that is not how life unfolds. Life unfolds where there is always something to be learned. Yes, the challenges would come. And even though we know this, every time the challenge comes, it tends to throw us out of the boat and into the deep. And even when you look back, you recognize, listen, I have been presented with worse, I have overcome worse, I have experienced worse, and I am still here. But yet, when we encounter certain things, it tends to throw us off so much. And if you were able to just center yourself, stop wherever you are, stop wherever you are, and you ask yourself the same three questions: where am I? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? And even within those questions, you're recognizing that there is intention within it. So it gives you the opportunity to bring yourself back to the present moment, because only the present moment exists. Because a lot of times with habits, when you look at habits, habits are based on the past. Things that used to work, things that formerly worked, and yes, you still adopt them, you still do them, because you never really sat and take the time to really re-examine the habits, see what is working for you, see what is working against you. Because trust me, it's only working against you and not working against anybody else, because this is your life belongs to you. And when you really look at some of the habits that you are doing daily, it really working against you. So imagine you existing in your world, engaging with something that working against you every day. And yet you're making a choice to stay there every day. And every day that you do it, it is compounding. So imagine the working against you today was 10%, tomorrow is 20, the day after. So some of us, we have accumulated a lot. It's probably 5,000% at this point. And every day you're still engaging with the same habits. And every day you're telling yourself, I need to start to fill in the blank. The number one, I need to start to exercise. I need to start to eat healthier. And guys, I'm not sure if some of you have noticed the challenges that we have begun posting both in the BFIT and the B Farm groups. It is posted every Sunday, so you have the opportunity to practice something new. For the beef fit, this week is no fry foods, so there is no doubles, there is no aloo pies, there is no sahina, there is no pylori. And then for the beef farm, it is taking a pause throughout the day. So you have to be present enough to remember to take the pause and to just slow yourself down. Because within that, we know we're trying to get the Beef Fitman family to really practice something new. It's not just about us, again, we're coming on a Monday and we're discussing certain things, yes, but what are you practicing and what new have you been practicing? So when you see, look out for the challenges on the Sunday and practice it as much as you could. Even if you cannot do the full 7 days, try to do it as much as possible, because I did the ones for last week and I did notice that, because after eating, I will always crave something sweet. So that was curbed the last week, and now I noticed that I don't really feel for whatever it is, whatever sweet snack after having lunch, having breakfast, or whatever it is. So try it. Try it and see. And these are the little steps that we are implementing to really encourage you all to make a different choice, because it is within the simple day to day things. So for me, you're drinking tea without sugar. Every day is water, because of course you can't drink any processed sugar, and the groceries, whatever, wherever we go, is filled with processed sugars. And then you start to recognize, wow, just as Nicola was explaining with her phone, you start to recognize how addicted we are as a society to sugar on the whole. Because when it's time to give it up, it is really an issue. And even for us in Trinidad, how addicted we are to street food that is easily, readily available, but a lot of them, of course, is fried. The doubles, the everything that we have. So it is about practicing something new. And you see, in practicing something new, that is where the expansion comes. Because you recognize you're no longer limited to if it's 3 things, 5 things. Now you have a wider range. So even for me, because you're no longer, you have access, but you're trying to be disciplined, you're practicing it. Now you have to look at different options for breakfast. So even in the BFIT group this morning, somebody gave the suggestion of a smoothie. It have oats. It have so many other different things that you could now incorporate. So this is your opportunity to really practice something new. So look out for the challenges. And again, remember, Befitment are bringing all these things to you so that you could see and practice a different way, because there is a different way to live. You don't have to reach the 90 and you have all the different reasons. You reach 90 and you have the 5 different set of tablets for the 5 ailments. You know, Dada, bring your tablets in a cup because it's so much. Imagine if you were free at 90, you are not inhibited with anything. You don't have to take 5 different tablets, and the 5 different tablets every month. You have to go by the doctor to read. You have to redo the prescription, and he had to check you every time, and then he had to adjust this and adjust that, and save yourself. Save yourself. So practice the challenges. That is why the challenges are here, because we want to live a life where we are free to enjoy things. We don't want to have to worry about high blood pressure and diabetes and being overweight and everything that connected to it, because it all comes together and it starts to really show itself as you go up, as we go up in age. So look at the challenges and try to practice it. Please try to practice it. I don't want to come and look for any of you in the hospital. You can make the choice today. You can make the simple steps today. And once you develop this new routine, life would become a lot more enjoyable. So for me, the knee pain, working on the knee pain for 2026. and things would be a lot different. Yes, Katrin, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes, when you mentioned replace it with something else,
Mm-hmm.
have something definite to replace it. It's like people when they ask me, so how come you don't eat meat? I say, well, you don't really eat meat. It's the flavors of the meat that you enjoy. So you substitute something for it, as opposed to thinking, oh God, I have to give this up. Like, for example, if Nicola was sitting down just watching the wall and bouncing off the wall because she had to give up the phone for, it's not enjoyable. It's not an experience that you want to have. But when you really put something else in the place, like you said, then you don't even sometimes notice that, hey, not, I don't need this again. When did this stop? When did this end? And it's the same thing for people, places, and things. Because sometimes, you may have some friends and hanging around with those friends, not really getting you where you want to go, but you've known them for a long time and you all think the same way, although deep inside you're having a little twitch that said, you could walk a different road and you will get a different result, but you don't want to leave your friends behind. And so you stay there as opposed to, as I think was Anastasia was saying, you don't know what will come next. But sometimes what comes next is really what you needed to come next. And sometimes you just have to push past. If you replace it with something, replace it with anything at that point so that you have something to focus on. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have something to focus on, you don't even have to know much about it. Go outside, pick weeds. Because I have noticed something with me. I've also picked up that scrolling habit. And sometimes I sit down and I recognize you are just scrolling mindlessly. And then I try to convince myself that, well, I'm not scrolling mindlessly. I'm really taking a break from whatever I was doing. But deep down inside, you have to work on that. And like Nicola said, you have to discipline your mind because that is pulling a lot of time that I can do something else with. So that is something else I'm also working on to put it down and let it be.
You could certainly be doing something more productive. And remember, the habits that are not working for you, they are only working against you. They're not affecting anybody else. They're only working against you. So imagine you are making a choice to do this thing over and over every day to work against you in the long run. You really have to sit down and examine it, examine what does not work and replace it with something else. If it is something that you find difficulty in letting go of it, or cold turkey and you just drop it altogether, replace it with something else. This is the opportunity to practice whatever it is that you wanted to do for so long. You wanted to declutter, you wanted to paint, you wanted to whatever it is. This is the opportunity. And just as Catherine also just messaged in the chat, you are not being your friend in that instance. No, you're not. Nope. Because even within the comfort that you are currently experiencing, the comfort and all working against you. Because you're not expanding, you're not experiencing anything new. You're there in the same space, experiencing the same things, wanting a different result, but making the same choices. Again, and this is a new year. We have been saying this for the past 2 years. So this is really your opportunity. And it is not that difficult. Because the sugar, the first 2 days, yes, it is very difficult. The fry foods, the easiest, simplest thing is doubles. The first day today was okay, Adana. You need to readjust this. Okay, okay, what can you do? And then you start to recognize that there are different choices, but you will never know if you choose to stay where you are. For 2026, give yourself the opportunity to practice new things. Practice new things. Practice new things. What does it cost to really practice new things? The only thing that it really costs is effort and discipline. And within you practicing new things, it is also where you would practice the effort and discipline even more. So a lot of things would become easier. Some of the things that you're looking at and you think that it would be difficult, it would be so much easier. You would ask yourself, why I did not do this all along. And of course, repetition, belief, and self trust comes out of the practicing whatever you choose to practice because they are all connected. So, what are you really choosing to repeat, believe, and trust about you? So, is it that you start things and you always stop? Or is it that you you always you have an intention to do something, but again, if you never practice this, just as we learned during the week, it is just a wish. So it just remains a wish in your mind for the past 5 years, and it is coming repeatedly, repeatedly, but what are you doing about it? The email that you have been taking a very long time to send the email. The person that your mind keeps running on that you need to reach out to the person. Getting up 10 minutes earlier to do a little bit of meditation, do it. Walking for 10 minutes before, during, or after work. Why are you taking so long? Remember, when the thoughts come, and everything is coming from the soul, when the soul sends the information, the soul knows what is coming and is trying to prevent you from experiencing certain things. So that is why the thoughts come in, to exercise, to drink more water, to do whatever it is, so that you don't end up in the same space that you were for the past 2 to 3 years with the same results at the end of each year. But then you would never know, you would never experience it because you are making the same choices, because you are comfortable even though the results are not yielding anything. You just have it like my avocado tree in the back, it just there year after year, not bearing no fruit, and it just there. I really need to get rid of that tree. Even though my father keep telling me leave the tree, it would be. I don't know when my brother-in-law planted the avocado tree after hours and it beared. And my avocado tree still there. But 2026, trust me, I will have a conversation with that tree, and then we would take it from there. So, as it relates to habits that build your identity, you really need to focus and replace the distraction cycles with stabilizing routines. You really need to replace it. Because first you need to ask yourself, this is practically, well, we're in the last week of January, yeah? So the year not all that new anymore, because it's like you blink and January is over. So ask yourself, what do you want to experience this year? What do you want to experience this year? And then look at what it requires. Do I need to change some habits? Do I need to adjust some things? Because I would really like to experience this. Ensure that your intention is clear. Ensure that you know what you want. And also look at what is required within it. When the thoughts come, do not allow it to leave, because in doing so, that is how you practice missing opportunities. That is how you practice missing opportunities. No, I will do it tomorrow. No, I will do it next week. And then what if next week never comes? Or what if you have to wait 40 years for this opportunity to come back? So imagine 40 years from 2026, if some of us still here. So really examine your habits and see what is working for you, what is not working, and practice something new. You cannot will it into existence, you cannot wish it into existence. You have to actually practice something new. Your habits, they are either working with you or they are working against you. The ones that are working against you, please take the time this week, or even it doesn't have to be an entire week, it could be tomorrow, and re examine them, look at them. And it's like, remember when I was in the yard and you're looking at all the parasites on the tree, all the vines, sorry, all the vines. And when vines take over a tree, what happens? It works against the tree. It sucks all the life, all the energy, everything out of the tree. So look at the habits that are sucking the life, the energy, everything out of you, and replace it with something different. Replace it with something different. And next week, I will be asking, what did you get the opportunity to practice but didn't? So here is why, this is really why I asked the question the last time. What did you get the opportunity to practice but didn't? So you have the opportunity to practice new habits, examine what is not working for you, and practice something new. So before I let you all know what is the schedule for this week, does anyone have any questions? Okay. And remember, guys, the Genius Schools is on, guys. The Genius Schools. Please feel free to sign up. We would be announcing this year's prize very soon because Lisa will just carry me to all of her trips, and you all will be left behind wherever you are in the world, you know? So I will continue to petition for myself to be taken on all of these trips. So please do not forget, it is free to enter. All you have to do is answer the question. Guys, you all have Lisa accumulating these prizes like like what's the name of the stones and I can't remember, in Avengers, Infinity Stones, yes, Infinity Stones. You all have Lisa collecting all these prizes like Infinity Stones, man. Come on. Anastasia, you don't want to carry me on a trip? Anastasia?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, I plan to go on a cruise sometime. You will come and go with
exactly.
my wife.
Yes. Well, you have to enter for us to go, man. Come on.
No, not this year, not this
You're not
year.
entering this year?
No, I'm not entering this year.
All
I'm
right.
taking a break this year.
Okay. Okay. Anastasia, when you see Lisa and I, okay. All right. But guys, for the rest of you, feel free, please, to enter. And all you have to do is answer the questions. So let me let you know what we have happening this week. So, of course, we discussed the 9 consistent habits build your identity. And then on Tuesday, from 10, of course, we have counseling and consultations. And then from 6, we have the poverty of inconsistency. So we will be looking at inconsistency erodes confidence, focus, and credibility. Then from 7, we have our fuel and flex full body workout session. On Wednesday from 10, we have counseling and consultations. And then from 6 p.m., we would be looking at designing identity driven systems, where we would be discussing aligning inner systems to make consistent results. And on Thursday, counseling and consultations again from 6, we will be looking at becoming someone you can rely on. Building integrity, leadership, and personal power. Then from 7, we have the Be Fit, Fuel, and Flex workout. On Friday, we have counseling and consultations again from 10. Then from 3, we have Free to Be, where we celebrate, relax, restore, and unwind. Of course, it is by appointment only. And on Saturday, we have counseling and consultations. And then from 3 p.m., we are closed. If you are interested in premium membership, please feel free to message us at 868-336-1809. For the working professionals, we have Be at Work coming up this Wednesday from 2 to 2:30 p.m. So it is a very short session. So if you are at your desk, you just log in, you're still doing your work, but you are also listening to the conversation. So if you are ready to empower your workforce with applied cognitive and physical conditioning to optimize work performance, improve measurable productivity outcomes, and strengthen well being, then Be at Work is for you. Also, if you would like to register for this, you could contact us at 8683361809. The topic for this month is peak performance without burnout. So, if burnout is something that you are currently experiencing or you are having difficulty with, feel free to message us to be part of this. It is free, free, free. And then, of course, for all our befitment members who are in Trinidad, but do not worry, we will also have promotions for the ones outside of Trinidad coming to a country near you soon. So, if you would like to stay active, eat healthy on the go, you can get 10% off your order at Green Bull at the M6 branch only. And you are using your membership dashboard in the app to redeem your discounts. Guys, this green bowl, it really, really tastes good. And all the drinks also, it is fresh. And of course, with green bowl, there is nothing fried. There is no flour. So if it is something that you are interested in, please feel free. All you have to do is open the app, go on your profile page, show it to them, and that's it. You get 10% off your order. Yes, Katrin, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
I was also going to say it's not just answering the questions that will get you points in genius goals. You
Yes.
could bring someone, you could get someone to register, you could read the articles and find the other things, and you get additional points. So, Anastasia, I think you need to take no year off. After that year off, that change that one. Re-examine that
You
plan,
don't know.
Anastasia.
Suppose it's our honeymoon and I haven't for the year. Suppose
Darling?
it's that. And I have no time. You don't know.
But
All right,
the question,
Anastasia.
Suppose I'm a
the
preteen
questions will help
man.
you to really ensure the honeymoon is honeyed.
All right, Anastasia. Well, we taking that. We taking that. We certainly taking that. So, guys, please remember for this week also, we had a little mix up with the junior schools question for this week. So, the questions from last week will remain this week for persons to get the opportunity to answer. All right, so look at it, answer the questions because it also helps you along the growth pathway because you really have to internalize the questions to answer. So, guys, have a wonderful night. Have an amazing week. The habits that are not working best for you, please re examine them. Okay? See you
Yes.
all next week. Eat healthier, be better. Remember, life belongs to you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good